Hello and welcome to another edition of Viper Bites Primetime Previews. And this time we are going to focus in on the AFC Championship game taking place this Sunday, 3:30 p.m. Eastern in Arrowhead. Now, before we go any further, make sure if you're listening on the Vipers Network here on YouTube, hit that subscribe button right now. And while you're at it, give me a good old-fashioned thumbs up here for this video. Now, let's dive right into this. Now, usually we have to go back and do a little bit of research to find out the last time these two teams met. But hey, luckily for us, we've only got to go to week number 17 when the Kansas City Chiefs went into Cincinnati to face a Bengals team that was more than ready to step up to the challenge. Now, this game this week is taking place at Arrowhead. It's a different beast altogether, but I don't know if the Bengals understand how big of a game this is. And I think not knowing that actually helps them out. But hey, let's go back again. January 2nd, Bengals win 34-31. They roared loud enough for the rest of the National Football League to hear them. On that day, they really did emerge as a true contender for Super Bowl glory. Now, Joe Burrow was next level. Despite being sacked 4 times in that game, he threw for 424 yards, 4 touchdowns, and he had that hookup going on with rookie Jamar Chase. You know what? Don't even call him a rookie no more. The things that he's done, that ain't no rook. Look, 11 catches, 266 yards in that game. There was no way that the Chiefs were stopping this Bayou Bengal duo on this day. Now, there were other Bengals that played. I mean, Joe Mixon, 12 carries, 46 yards, 7 receptions, 40 yards. That number is probably key a little bit later on in this video. Now, T. Higgins, 3 catches, 62 yards. Tyler Boyd, he did have a touchdown, and he only had 36 yards, but that touchdown, it was a big one. As for Patrick Mahomes, he was okay. He threw for a pair of touchdowns. And he hooked up with both Travis Kelce and Demarcus Robinson in that game. He went 26 of 35 for 259 yards, but it was Darrell Williams. That's Darrell with 1 L Williams. That was the Chiefs' offensive star, scoring twice on 14 carries and adding 88 yards on the ground and chipping in 19 more in the passing game. Speaking of that passing game, Tyreek Hill technically led this team in receptions there with 6 grabs for 40 yards, but it was Mecole Hardman who had the big splash play. 1 grab, 53 yards. Now, you like your chips, you like your lays. I prefer Pringles. Brian Pringle caught 3 passes for 34 yards, and he's been heating up as these playoffs have been going on late in the season for the Chiefs. How did we get here? Now, look, the Bengals defeated both the Raiders and the Titans to reach the AFC Championship for the first time since 1988. If they want to icky shuffle themselves to the Super Bowl, they are going to have to take on a Chiefs team that not only knocked off the Steelers, but they knocked off the Bills as well to punch that ticket to the 4th straight AFC Championship game. Look, new kids on the block, the wily old vet Chiefs here. However you want to look at, man, can we talk about that Chiefs-Bills game for a second? I mean, that would maybe been one of the best games I have seen in a long time. The Bills were absolutely unreal for all but 13 seconds. Now, that is going to go automatically in the lure of the NFL vault for generations to come. Now, how are these two teams stacking up? Let's look at the numbers, starting with the quarterback position. Joe Burrow, 4th in playoff passing, 593 yards in 2 games. But surprisingly, he has only tossed 2 touchdowns, and they both came in that wild card contest against the Raiders. The biggest thing for the Bengals, who are now technically 2-0, is Burrow has been sacked 11 times, 9 times in the divisional round. Hey, put your hand up if you thought the Bengals would win the divisional round against the Titans after Burrow gets sacked 9 times and throws an interception. Now put your hand down because you are lying. No one had that prediction coming. Now, Patrick Mahomes, 782 passing yards, 7 touchdowns in 2 playoff games, adding another 98 yards on the ground and a touchdown to his credit. Neither team has really established the run so far here in the playoffs. Look, Mixon, 102 yards on the ground, 31 attempts. It's actually Patrick Mahomes that leads this Chiefs ground game with 98 yards thus far. I am expecting fireworks, so I'm expecting this passing game for both teams to get going. And really, the last team with the ball is probably going to have a good chance to win this game. Look, Jamar Chase, 14 catches, 225 yards so far in the playoffs. CJ Uzama, 13 catches, 135, and a touchdown. T. Higgins, 8 catches, 106 yards. For the Chiefs, Tyreek Hill leads the way, 16 catches, 207 yards, 2 tutties. And speaking of 2 tutties, Travis Kelce has 2 of them and 13 receptions and 204 yards. Now, for the Bengals, Joe Burrow became the first quarterback drafted first overall to reach a conference championship game within his first 2 seasons. And we've seen what Josh Allen did last week against this Chiefs team. He threw for 329 yards and 4 touchdowns, averaged 8.9 yards per attempt against this Chiefs defense. Now, Joe Burrow, he is more than capable of doing it. We've seen what he did against him in week 17. Look, 5 of Burrow's last 7 games, he has thrown for more than 300 yards. But for me, the key comes down to getting Joe Mixon involved. I mentioned his 7 catches for 40 yards. He ran the ball for 46 yards in that game. Listen, the Bengals are 7-2 when Joe Mixon gets 20 or more touches. Something to keep an eye on as this game goes on. Now, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, C.J. Uzomah. Sure, throw in Joe Mixon. There are plenty of receivers for Burrow to get the ball in the hands of. And looking back at that divisional game, Gabriel Davis absolutely went off against this Chiefs secondary. 201 yards, 8 catches. Half of those catches resulted in a touchdown. Yes, 4 touchdowns for Gabriel Davis against a secondary that lost Tyrann Mathieu due to a concussion. Definitely something to keep an eye on as we progress throughout this week. But Tre'Davious Ward, to his credit, he shut down Stephon Diggs, 7 yards on 3 receptions. Can he shut down Jamar Chase? Not so fast. Probably not. I mean, look, 266 yards last time these two teams met. The last 4 games in which Jamar Chase played a full amount of time, whatever you want to call it, 32 catches, 616 yards, 3 touchdowns. Listen, if I'm putting money on anyone, I'm putting money on Jamar Chase this week. Now, even if Kansas City contains Chase, they still have to deal with T. Higgins coming off a 7-grab, 96-yard performance against the Titans. And C.J. Uzomah, 7 receptions of his own for 71 yards. And we're not even talking about Tyler Boyd yet, who, hey, when no one else is clicking, he is getting going. Now, for the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs set a franchise playoff record with 552 yards of offense against a Buffalo Bills team that has been tough all season long on the defensive side of the ball. In fact, they have only allowed 272.8 yards per game, and the Chiefs basically doubled that last week. So we know this Chiefs offense is clicking. Can the Bengals fare better than what the Bills did last week? That's to be seen. Now, Darrell Williams, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Jed McKinnon, no one is standing out, but collectively with Patrick Mahomes, they ran the ball 27 times for 182 yards and 2 touchdowns against that very tough Bills defense. They also built up a 6.7 yards per carry along the way. Now, this is key to note because the Bengals, they stopped Derrick Henry last week, holding him to 3.1 yards per carry, 62 yards if you're looking at the stats. But they did surrender 66 to Dante Foreman, who had 4 carries, and I'm pretty sure that yards per carry on 4 is a lot more than 3.1. Now, pass catchers, Kansas City Chiefs, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Brian Pringle. The Bengals managed to turn the Titans over last week multiple times, but A.J. Brown had 142 receiving yards. That's 28.4 yards per reception. And he missed a couple plays. Tannehill missed him a couple times. That could have definitely imploded those numbers somewhat. Big plays can be had against his Bengals secondary, regardless of what Eli Apple believes. Now, Travis Kelce has now scored a touchdown in 5 straight contests. I'm not sure anyone on this Bengals team can stop Travis Kelce right now. But you know what? Andy Reid loves himself some chocolate cake. I'm going to side with some Skyline chili here. I'm taking the Bengals to win this one 36-33, and it's all going to come down to protecting Joe Burrow. Listen, the Bengals need to win the time of possession. When they do this, they are 6-1. They cannot go around and get sacked 9 times and lose 68 yards along the way. They dodged a bullet last week against the Titans because, another little note, the Bengals are basically 2-4 when they give up 5 or more sacks. Chris Jones, Frank Clark, Melvin Ingram, these guys are key for the Chiefs. They can definitely disrupt some stuff. But, man, I'm going to go on with Joe Burrow here. I think the Bengals' inexperience helps them knock off the Chiefs this week. What do you think? Hit me up. Let me know in the comments section right now. You got the Bengals or do you got the Chiefs? Skyline chili or chocolate cake? Let me know, and be sure to head over to fantasypoints.com. Get 30% off that subscription today. Stay tuned because the NFC Championship preview is coming up next.